That's a perfect segue, in fact, to this next session, which is, again, in the spirit of Marilou wanting to honor everyone but herself. In this session, we are going to pick up on the idea that Aisha laid out so well, which is that it is not a race that has a clear beginning and an end. It's not a race in which we hand over a baton, but it is something that we continually reinvigorate each other. And what we want to do now is to thank the femtors, the people who came before us and who continue to be among us and to inspire us by their ongoing example of determination, their ongoing commitment to the project of equality, the project of fighting inequality. We're going to have 4 presenters who are going to honor 4 femtors, and I will begin with the first and then move on later. First of all, I want to call on Mitzie Hunter, who is the CEO of the Canadian Women's Foundation, who will be presenting her award of thanks to the Honourable Jean Augustine. Mitzie is a community-focused leader advancing gender equality in Canada. She was Ontario's first Black Minister of Education and is now leading the Canadian Women's Foundation, which is a champion of inclusion and diversity. Mitzie.
Thank you, Shireen. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir. It feels like we're in the right space tonight, does it not? And I want to say thank you so much, Senator McFedrin, for conceiving of this and bringing us all together. And I am so happy to be here. I really want to thank our keynote for setting the context. And this portion, I believe, of tonight's agenda is about fueling the collective spirit. And it's important that as we ebb and as we flow, that we take time to do that. And I really believe that that's what tonight is also about. And I also want to just acknowledge that, I am here with so many other feminist organizations and individuals who continue to pursue that collective gender justice that we want to see in Canada. And I want to acknowledge that my role as the President and CEO of the Canadian Women's Foundation follows in the footsteps of dear Senator Paulette Sr. And I just want to recognize and honor her as well. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the courage and the histories of many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples in Turtle Island, and to recognize that Ottawa is on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. And so tonight I am so privileged to give a few words to my dear friend, Dr. the Honourable Jean Augustine. Yesterday I was in Australia at Women Deliver, and I came back here specifically to give tribute to you. And I feel that, and just a quick report from Women Deliver, women around the world, in every continent, want the same thing. They want power, they want safety, they want support and rights to thrive. And this is a clear message. And so for women in Canada, we want that too, but I want to remind you that the world is watching. So I've been in this role since 2004, and previous to that, my career took me from nonprofit to corporate, and I spent a decade in the provincial parliament in Ontario. My career would not be where it is without that role model, that light that was and is my femtor, the Honorable Jean Augustine. And I know it's not just me, it is everyone that she touches and that she comes across. Her story was captured in a documentary. If you haven't seen it, please do. It was produced in 2022, and it's titled Steadfast. And steadfast is the perfect word to describe Jean's passion and really the motivation that drives her to build a better world. As a passionate educator, she was born in Grenada, and she brought her talents to Canada by way of the West Indian Domestic Scheme. And soon after she arrived, she continued to inspire students and teachers by getting into the education field. At the Canadian Women's Foundation, we hear every day from newcomer women who are challenged balancing care, settlement, career building, all of it. And Jean, you have lived that reality, and you have shown us the way. I want to share a little story. I met Jean when I was at a corporation, and I asked for a meeting in her office, and she accepted. And while I was in that meeting, I really sensed that she was listening. And I was satisfied with the meeting, so at the end of it, I picked up my briefcase and I was about to walk out. And she said, "Hold on a minute, sit down. I have something I want to tell you." So I sat down. And she said something that shaped me. She said, "I want to give you some advice. When you get the call, you must be ready." At the time, I wasn't sure what she meant about being ready. I even went on to get my MBA because I wanted to be ready. But soon, I knew what she was talking about. I learned over time that your community calls you and that your voice and your presence matter and that you answer that call. So getting involved in community, taking leadership, and volunteering is so important. And Jean embodied that in all the work that she has done. First African Canadian woman elected in Parliament, the author of Black History Month, just celebrating 30 years this year. Even in her own community of Etobicoke Lakeshore, the Jean Augustine Center for Women's Empowerment. All of that is a legacy that she has left and a trail that she has blazed. But most importantly, Dr. Augustine, I want you to know that young women and girls in this country look up to you. They inspire you. They are inspired by you. And the path that you have set allows them to follow in whatever way they choose to. I am so honored to know you and to call you friend. So please welcome the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine as we acknowledge and present her with this Femtor Award of recognition.
Thanks, Mitzie. You traveled all across many oceans to get back to Toronto and to get back to Ottawa so we can have this evening. Let me thank you for the contributions that you've made over the years and your continued commitment to the struggle of women's rights. Let me begin by thanking Senator Marilou McPhedran and her team for bringing us together on this auspicious occasion. And of course, congratulations to my fellow awardees. Distinguished guests, friends, I usually talk without script, but because I'm told I have 5 minutes, I thought I'll script what I have to say to keep the time. The threat, Marilou. So it is with great humility that I accept this recognition. I was speaking with one of the young girls at the Jean Augustine Center for Young Women's Empowerment. And I say, I have to do the speech. And what should I say? And she said, just tell them your history. Unashamedly tell them the path that you've taken. And so this is what I'll do now. I came to Canada, as you heard, as a young woman with strong values and the conviction that with hard work and focus, anything is possible. That Canada in 1960 was a very different place than where we are today. And when I speak to community, I said, 1960, no charter, no laws that regulated the way that people behaved. No landlord and tenant act. No school board talking to us about our children. No police community relations. So you can see that it was a place that was ready for activism and ready for individuals, as we heard earlier from Pam, because governments don't sit back and say, what can we do for those people? Those people have to push to make sure that things are done for them. There were challenges, but there were opportunities. And I will drop a few names as I go along. People like Jane Pepino, Mary Eberts, Pat Marshall, and others who have stood on the issue of violence against women, who've worked with politicians at the city level around the issue of stalking, around the issue of finding opportunities for women to be engaged in the, not only in the political arena, but also in those issues that matter to women. The formation of METRAC, and I'm sure you'll hear about that either from Nancy or from Michelle. The work that we did both on the judicial education, making sure that as we talk about violence against women, that judges were aware of how they need to do the questioning of women who were sex. We used different words at the time. We used the word rape, and we used, there were different things that we've changed the language now to sexual interference. But I was fully aware of the tremendous opportunity presented to me to be engaged and to be involved with those women who were knocking at the doors, who were asking the questions, who were putting on the table the issues that faced women. I was part of the Visible Minority Women's Organization, where we tried to organize across the country to bring the issue of visible minority after Kay Livingstone had brought that in 1975. as a word to describe, or words to describe, the situation of people of color. The National Action Committee on the Status of Women, people like Aviva Hosek, and also, I just lost her name. I'm 80, going on 89 years old, so I forget names. But I was fully aware of the tremendous opportunity that was presented to me when I entered the Parliament of Canada. A place built by men to do men's work. And there I came as the first black woman in that chamber, wanting to find, and I think there are some of you who might know the story, wanting to find a washroom and having to go past the speaker's hallway down to the other end of the building because the big washroom at the front of the chamber was a men's washroom, and the struggle we had. And I remember when we did get the washroom, I was chair of Women's Caucus, and I went to the speaker to ensure, it's not 5 minutes yet, to ensure that, that we had a mirror so that we can see our skirt hems, and I was told that we could not do this. There were several things that we had to push against. The UN conference on the status of women, the 1975, 1985, 1995, Beijing, Beijing +5. These are all to remind the young people that we were there. Sylvia Haynes is here, and she was with me as my staff as I chaired the first ever OECD meeting in Paris. And what did we talk about? We didn't talk about financial issues. We talked about things like turnstiles. The young people may not even know what turnstiles were. How many of you know turnstiles? Where you had to go through, and trying to go through with a stroller and the child holding onto your skirt, the turnstile into the supermarket. We had to put that on the table. The issue of lighting, the issue of doors with the ability to see on the outside. So there were so many things. Microcredit, the issue of population and development, the fact that I was able in the Parliament of Canada to put the motion for Black History Month, and also to commemorate and to put on Parliament Hill the famous 5 and the person's case. Do you know that the statute on the books at the time said that only monarchs, dead monarchs, or parliamentarians, or prime ministers who were nation builders, statue could be on Parliament Hill. And so you could imagine the struggle to get the famous 5 statue. So over the years, I learned a few things which I will share. We must learn how to break barriers, but breaking barriers is not enough. We must dismantle them. It's not enough to be the only woman in the room. We must change the room itself. Leadership is not about climbing the ladder. It's about ensuring that the ladder is accessible to everyone. And sometimes it's about building an entirely new structure. Our systemic exclusion is influenced by factors, by race, by sexual orientation, gender identity, geographic location. These factors are systemic and are built into systems that marginalize women in leadership places. So then, what can each of us do as individuals? How do we go beyond words? For those of you early in your career, I want to say to you, do not wait for permission to lead. Do not wait until you feel that you are ready. The truth is, no one ever feels fully ready. But your voice, your perspective, your lived experience, they matter. So speak up and let your voice be heard. Together we are strong, and we've heard that here a few times. Together we will continue to rise. There is good work ahead. There is work for all of us. So once again, I thank you for this prestigious recognition.